Good afternoon and welcome. I'd like to the Community Board meeting for the 22nd of June. I would like to start with the Karakia please.
Karakia Timitanga. Tue ke runga, tue ke raro, tue ke roto, tue ke waho. Tue tātou te tangata, kei te kaupapa o te hui nei, kei te kaupapa o te rangi nei. Māori ora ki a tātou katoa. Bind above, bind below, bind within, bind beyond. Bind us, the people, to the purpose of our meeting, to the purpose of this day, breathe life into us all.
You're right, let's see. Now, I just would like to welcome everyone, including those on Zoom. Can you put a thumbs up if you can hear us properly? We have had a few issues around the hearing, and if you can't hear us, if you can hear us, put a thumbs up. It is being recorded, the meeting, and it will be available on Council's YouTube channel. Microphones, while you're on Zoom, please mute them and put your hand, the speaking hand thingy up for any questions. And Zoom attendees to turn off your camera and microphone during the breaks. I'd like to acknowledge Tasman District Council's CEO, Leonie, who has come today and to attend our Community Board meeting. Her diary doesn't allow this too often, so we're really grateful that you're able to make it over here today and spend the day over this side of the hill. As we say, it's just a hill, get over it, and here you are. So thank you, and welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to ask first, are there any apologies? Got Axel, is Axel online?
Yes,
I see it. Oh, good.
He's thumbs up, you can hear us.
Oh, good. Okay. So there's no apologies. We need to move that? No, we don't. Okay. Order of business. There is a minor late item of business on the agenda today. A presentation item on emergency management in Golden Bay from Durham Quigley. Yep, I know. Local controller, welcome Durham. Golden Bay, Tasman, Nelson Emergency Management. So thank you. But first of all, we're going to start with public forum. And today, each individual gets to speak a maximum of 5 minutes. And first of all, we have Karen Brooks on noxious weeds in council walkways. You can come up to the table if you like.
Yes. This started off as a request for service that had taken some time to get some response to. And then I had to contact the people who had given me this appointment to say, well, look, I realise now this work has been done, but I still would like to speak on this. And they said, well, that's all right, it's about the same subject. So it's just a season for the convolvulus to really take hold and get going. And there was one very conspicuous patch as you walk down at 131 Commercial Street, and it's this narrow grassy area that leads down to the Kalkal stream. And there were trees there, but they were massively overcome with what some people call morning glory, but it has the same effect as convolvulus. So some people were admiring it. I was saying, oh my God, those trees are drowning in this stuff. So after requesting from the council as to whether it was their land and getting out, they weren't very sure. And then I mentioned it to someone else and they said, well, why don't you do something about it? So I did, and I went in for 40 minutes. I ripped a lot of this stuff down off the trees. And there was one tree about this size, it's been completely covered in this drowning in it, you know. And it was all coming up the bank and carrying on. And I realised it was a bit of a job. So anyway, I requested the council to do something about it. They finally found out, yes, it was their land, though it wasn't a reserve as such. It also has a big sewage cover partway down. Anyway, nothing was happening, and I was going in with my clippers and even a rake to try and get the stuff off the trees. And then I had an appointment at my place with what was her name? Wood. She's just she was in charge of parks and reserves in Tasman, and she came over and talked to me and about something at my place. And then I said, well, look, can't you do something about this area down here? You know, it's in a bad way. It's all going to grow back up the bank from the neighbouring property and so forth. And anyway, she was a bit sort of not really committing. And then I found out later she was about to resign anyway, so she's gone. But the NowMac guys came round to my place because of what we'd been discussing. And I had a chat with them. And I found out that they can only really do what they're asked to do and no more. So I had realised that this area was being mowed every so often by them, but all that convolvulus was being left. So I persisted on a bit. And I also talked to a guy who lived in the house just down the bank from where all this convolvulus was coming through. And I said, oh, this is a bit awful. And I said, I know you're not responsible, you're a tenant, but wouldn't it be wonderful if something was done about it? Because if they do something up here, it's all going to grow up again. And anyway, he must have had a word, I think, with the landlord, because after about 3 weeks, I was back there, and they'd just miraculously cleared all this terrible stuff off that place. I mean, the roots are probably still underground, but it looked a whole heap better there. But they hadn't come up the bank, and I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty sure that actually is council land. So then, because I put in another, you know, I went back again. I said, well, let's look at the plot of land. I said, it looks to me like that, but there's a bit down the bank that it's all coming up from still, because although the neighbours was connecting with that, they're a bit off. And then one day I'm coming along and there's the NowMac guys, and they're doing a real job on it, and they're going. They've gone down and cleared that bank. They've done all they could really at the time, and it looked very good. So they said, oh, were you the person who complained? And I said, yes, I am, because the trees, which had been put in at council expense, council had come along and put the trees in. They were just drowning, and I said it was crazy, you know. So anyway, they said the thing is, we can only do what we're told to do. So, you know, while they'd be going in and mowing, they weren't able to do anything about the convolvulus because it was outside of the remit they'd been given. So I thought, well, if I come and talk here, and people realise that if there's a problem like that, and if they are the squeaky wheel, they eventually get the oil. So I've come along to say, you know, NowMac did a wonderful job once they had the permission. And I have said that, you know, I'll pop in every so often. If I see a root coming along the ground that's going to start climbing a tree, I will rip it out. But, you know, I think it's really good that they had been given the permission, but it took a bit of getting there. So it's just an encouragement to the public to persist a little if there's something they want done and it's not getting done. And, you know, now we've got these lovely mature trees, and I've ripped the convolvulus down. It was like a little avenue, and I've ripped the convolvulus down on both sides. So, yeah, thank you, NowMac.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Are there any questions? Have you any questions to clarification?
Yeah, which alleyway is this? Where actually is
Well,
it?
you're driving down a commercial street from here, and you're just past Hiawatha Lane, and you look to your left,
Yeah,
and it's that one.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks. That's all. Yep.
No,
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's had the morning glory there forever. All right. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item.
Should we do
Yep,
Vibrant Arts?
yep, we are. We're going to get Dara here in a sec. Just put him on the schedule a little bit further down, I think. Declarations of interest. Any declaration of interest today? Okay, and we have confirmation. We've got 2 lots of minutes to confirm. The first one is the community board minutes for the 11th of May. Can I have a movement and a seconder? Clarissa and Celia, thank you. Seconder, all in favour? Aye.
Oops.
Now, the other one is the confidential minutes of the Golden Bay Community Board. Now, I'm just going to read this out. As the confidential minutes are the only item on the confidential agenda, the procedural item has been included in this open session of the meeting. So it's only the procedure. So we've got a mover for those confidential minutes. Celia, seconded by Mark, all in favour? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Oh, I just say the motion. Okay, sorry. Confirms the open minutes of Golden Bay Community Board held on the 11th. I've done that. Confirms that the confidential minutes of the Golden Bay Community Board meeting held on the 11th of May be confirmed true and correct record of the meeting. That was the motion. So we second for that. Thank you. Right, now presentations. We have Darren Quigley from the local controller of Golden Bay, Nelson Tasman Emergency Management, and we've invited Darren today to give us a bit of clarity around what we do as a board and what happens in the Bay and some of these circumstances that we have coming up. So welcome, Darren. Are you happy to take some questions during or after this?
Yeah, but yeah, probably after, near the end, probably better. Just a bit of clarity. So my role is I'm the local incident controller. So any civil defence emergencies, anything that comes under the Act, then it's my role is to make the decisions on what's best for our community in regards to life preservation and property as well. So it's quite a big role. But the question we met earlier on with Sarah, and we talked a little bit about what this community board and the council's role was in emergency management, and that was sort of the question that come up. So probably there's probably four key things. Probably the first one is that if anybody does talk to you about civil defence and resilience, is first of all talking to them about their own self-resilience. There's no massive army coming over the hill. In a major emergency, we'll be quite isolated here in the Bay. And the recommendation is, to be able to be resilient and look after ourselves for up to a week. Because if you look at, say, AF8, major earthquake, the hill's cut off, Nelson's isolated. We're isolated from the East Coast. Wellington's out, the West Coast sort of are on their own like us as well. And help probably is coming from New Plymouth, which will take some time to organise and get that here. I mean, when you think about food and fuel supplies, two key things, not just stuff going out, but that takes a while to organise to come in. Even through the Defence Force, you're flying their stuff in critical supplies, you're talking probably day 4, day 5. In my experience, another emergency before that gets underway. And that's just the basics. It's only, that's just to keep the organisation operating. So it could be up to a week before there's some sort of normality around food supplies and fuel. So that's one emergency. And as we all know, the hill can go at any time. So, we would get support from Nelson if it's just the hill that's out, but in bigger emergencies, we need to be able to rely on ourselves. And we don't hold big containers full of equipment and generators, stuff like that. So self-reliance is probably that key one. Second message is for part of that self-reliance is the communities across the Bay are starting their emergency preparedness plans. And some have done a really good job. Some are at a start point and some haven't started yet. So it's really encouraging the small communities throughout across the Bay to work on those plans because they're all quite unique for their community. They know what communications they have or what they might need. They know who's got Starlinks. They know, across the Bay, or who has generators and things like that, to be able to keep your freezers and fridges running. So it's that community plan is where the connections will come, and especially people supporting people. So they're looking after themselves within their own community. Christchurch was a huge example of that. Most people, 90% of people didn't know who their neighbours were, or if they knew who they were, didn't have any contact with them. During the earthquake, it was the opposite. There was probably only about 5% or 10% that didn't have any connection with their neighbours, mostly because they'd left town. The ones who were there were very connected with the people around them, looking after each other and helping out where they could. And if you look at that scenario, I think it was week 3 before we got some portaloos and things like that out into the community and delivered 60,000 in the first tranche to deliver. So that sort of stuff takes time. So they're the first 2 key points. The last 2 is, one is around there's a lot of disinformation in everything we do now as a life, in social media and everything else. And so a lot of people will put their stories or what they believe online out there for the public to see. So people should be guided to the normal or to the confirmed sources of information. Civil defence, what comes out nationally, what comes out by the radio on the national station or the local radio here, because that's the messaging that comes out through us or from civil defence or from myself. So it's really pushing people not to listen where they can, not too much to the social media and the hype. It's around, what's actually affecting me, how long will this take, and getting that pure information from credible sources. And then the last one is that for the inquiries, then if they do have questions or they are worried or at risk, if it is an emergency, it's no different. It's always 111 because it's life-threatening. They need to be able to ring those emergency services, whether it be a flood and they're isolated and surrounded and things like that, and they believe that their life, is or could be in danger, then they should always ring those emergency services. And the emergency services in town here, they all have their business as usual stuff, the fire, the police and that, and it's their role to go out and do that life-saving stuff. If it's not an emergency and it's general inquiry, then the key is to ring the 24-hour council hotline. So it is 24 hours. It's a standard phone number. I think it's 03 546 4800. Something like that. Yeah. And it's just guiding them. That's one of those official sources. If they get there in an emergency, they'll sometimes ramp that call centre up, and they'll have a lot more people. The 2 councils do, and people answering those calls. And if they don't know the answer through local council staff, then they will guide them to the correct function within the emergency operations centre, the bigger one, in Nelson, Tasman, or pass the message on to me for me to contact somebody. And that is the really key importance, especially of those community plans, because one of the key things in the community plan is for that community is who is the point of contact and what are their contact. So that as a local controller, I know who to be talking directly to when a community like Wainui or up at Happy Sands or Mangarakau, when they are isolated, I'm not having to contact everybody. I can go to that contact person. So they're probably the key 4 things that you as councillors and as a community board should be letting people know when they want to ask you about resilience or emergency management. Silly things.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Durham, where are you based? In the Bay?
Yeah, I'm here in the Bay. Now I live at Mike Bay.
Yep, okay. Yep. And your number is accessible to public or?
Because I only have a private number. The number when I'm working as an incident controller is normally through that 24-hour council. Yeah, and then they will put you in contact with me or leave me a message and I'll read back. So like for yourselves, because I know most of you, you know, I would be contacting them in pretty much straight away. So it's leaving a number to them and they let me know that you want.
So as long as the public know.
Yep.
You know what to do, maybe it has to go out a bit more.
Yep.
But public can approach or ring somebody, because a lot of people.
Yeah.
say, I know we've got a 24/7 hotline. A lot of them just no.
Yes. Yeah.
Sort of pushed.
For the general public, because there's generally in any emergency, there's lots of inquiries. We just don't have the capacity. I'm trying to manage the impact and what's actually happened in regards to emergency, rather than answering lots of inquiries. And they haven't given me a PA yet. So, so it is generally through that line. But most of you, because I'm in the Bay, will know somebody who knows me. So I have my personal phone number. If there's something really critical, then you ring me, or I'm going to get in contact with you pretty quickly. The other one is in most emergencies, our primary area is we're going to be operating out of here in most emergencies, unless town's flooded, and then we'll be up at the next day.
So I never come this far.
Yeah, anywhere here. So here, fire station, or up at the rec centre is where you'll find me. Generally in the bigger emergencies. I think last one we had was about 3 years ago, about flooding and stuff. And so like that, you know, I sat there for 2 weeks. Yeah, so that's all come find me. So once you know where we're operating, then you can just pop in and have a chat if you need to, or get a bit of a situation update, find out what's going on. Who is isolated, who is doing okay. So, and it's probably very helpful for you then to be able to chat with people as well.
Celia.
So, thanks, Dom. So, does information ever get put on Facebook? I mean, there's a whole slew of stuff on Facebook, but
yep.
How, you know, in order for information to get out, how I know there's the radio, but people look at Facebook. Do you guys ever post anything on Facebook, or is it on the?
Do you know it's on the Gold Bay Notice board?
The Golden Bay
is that thing, because that's what everybody's watching to sort of see what's happening around the place. That's generally the main one we use. We do put it, but if we put information on there, we'll normally put it on the Facebook, the normal civil defence page as well, the local one. So we'll post it on there as well, because that then captures the wider area.
Do you turn off the comments?
Yeah, we can connect straight into the radio station as well and transmit directly from there. And we also have localized messaging, like the national alert that you just heard. We have the capability to tap into just say the cell phone towers in this region to send us area specific messaging. Yeah. To the whole country. Yeah. So we can tap into that.
Okay. I had a quick question, which was about the Defence Force bringing in supplies and stuff. Our airport, would that be big enough for would they bring in helicopter? How would that work?
Helicopters are normally the first thing, and that also brings in what they call a review team, which will review the airstrips. Yeah. I know when it was many years ago, the Air Force did a survey for government across the whole region. They landed at the airport at the road here, and the C-130. And they also did a touch and go on the burnt section on the old airstrip up there, which was long enough and big enough. Whether they use those, it would probably be reliant on the helicopter and dropping that survey team in for them to have a quick look, because it depends on the time of year, how hard the surface is, plus also the load to carry, whether they can land or not. Target at airport's probably the better one, being a sealed strip, and it's wide enough that they can land a C-130. But in an earthquake, that could be compromised. So it may be 3-4 days for an engineer to assess the surface before they land.
Thank you. I know we've got a few items to get through. Are there any other questions for Darren? No? Thank you very much. And if people do have questions from the board, if we if we need to contact you, can we just,
Either contact me directly or just go through to, normally on that helpline, go through the civil defence.
Yeah.
And Joe Kennedy over the hill, or if it's a locals thing, then he'll either address it, he's, day to day operations, otherwise he'll send it across to me.
Yeah, so one thing I have raised before is that we get run by people saying, what should we do? Or do you know anything? So I think that this is clarified that that we have to tell people to ring the TDC hotline or 111. But we could ring the hotline on their behalf and ring them back.
Yep.
Because you just kind of feel a bit useless if you're saying to somebody, oh, you have to ring another.
Yeah.
So we could actually ring the hotline on behalf of something.
Yeah.
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 So, but that is the key number. Yeah.
And then depending on what they're inquiring, it could be something very minor just for them as an individual, or it could be a generalised question, which might take, some of the things even up the hill, public information person get back in contact with and say, well, here's the details, or here's the current situation. Or it might be that over the hill they turn around and go, well, Durham's up at the fire station today. They'll down or Garth and pop up there and they'll give you a full briefing on what the current situation is.
how big is your team?
We have about there's about 22 all up. There's probably about half of them are probably welfare. The other half work in the different functions as part of the operations. So they're all volunteers. They'll do it as part of their own time or in between their jobs. So longer duration stuff it's a bit of a struggle at the end. But generally we find after a few days, if it is an emergency, Nelson Tasman sort of kicked in either fly people in to assist us or there's people coming from throughout the country, like I said, East Coast and places like that, major emergencies. Yeah.
And sorry, one more question. So the role of the mayor is right, for councillors, the role of we can actually go straight to the mayor. I'm not sure about the community board whether or not that would be the case for community board members. If if we've got a disaster and they want to communicate direct with the mayor, can they do that? But we're just not sure about that.
Yeah, you might have the answer to
I've
that.
been very few of these, unfortunately. As the mayor declares, and that's normally by the advice of the he works with the National Emergency Operations Centre. So they will relay it to him. They will ask him to call a emergency. Councillors can add in situational information, which is really key, because it might be just typically Golden Bay might be under state of emergency, but if the mayor declares it and he gets advice from national police team, but yes, certainly situational awareness and information will help with that.
And that declaration, that you said, could be the whole region, or could just be local, could just be Golden Bay to be something like that. In regards to connection directly with the mayor generally gets a briefing every day or attends the civil defence briefing when we're in the emergency operations centre, so the online. And if you come to the emergency operations centre, you know where they are, probably for the community group or the councillors. If you know where they are, we can connect you into those meetings, so you're getting up-to-date information on a daily basis. Because in an emergency, there's no segments. It's just, we all work together to try and get the best outcome. And the only difference here sometimes is you find the conflicting stuff between Nelson Tasman and Golden Bay here, where my responsibility is what's happening in Golden Bay. And sometimes they've got to consider the bigger picture because it's a bigger event. And they may have an area over there which is impacted, which means I'll concentrate on that. They need to do the gold makeup.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I think that's really clear for everybody. There's no more questions. We'll move on. But thank you for coming in, and yeah, hopefully we won't have any more conversations. But yeah, in the nicest possible way, I think.
Yeah, and I'm willing to come along anytime. If you want to refresh or you've got other specific questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, thanks, Darren.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
I'll say thank you now.
Okay. Right. Moving on to the reports. Can I have a mover? No. We haven't heard them yet. First of all, we've got the financial report. Yeah, sorry. And we've got Paul on the line. Thank you, Paul, for being here today. Everyone looked at their financial report. Are there any questions or are there anything to note, Paul?
Kia ora koutou. I think the main things are that in this report you can see that the financial year is almost complete. The main budgets in terms of discretionary and special projects have been spent. There is an operating deficit, but that was planned. So it was using up some of the reserve funds from prior years. And the board is on track to still have significant reserve funds at the end of the year. And those will carry into the new financial year. So apart from that, it's pretty routine.
Any questions? Celia?
Thanks, Paul. Look, my question is about special projects, and there's just been a question about the role of the board in deciding special projects. My understanding of the policy is that the board can make the decision on special projects, but there was some suggestion that it had to go to council, but that's not the case, is it?
No, we make that.
We make that completely. I just wanted to be clear about that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we need to work on that for the next meeting, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, I did ask.
Okay.
All right. The other questions. Clarissa.
Hi, Paul. Just a quick question about the community board reimbursements. It's quite out of whack, obviously, this term. Will that be readjusted for the next budget?
Yes, it should be. So I've probably sort of probably looking past that at the moment, looking to LTP for the next year, but I'll look into that and check that out to make sure that we get that at the right level. Thank you.
Yep, that's it.
When do we get a chance to? Do we sit around the table with you to work those budgets out, or is that something that just happens automatically for us?
Through the chair, I think we probably need to have a workshop to just go over the discretionary and special projects and any other expenses. For example, like the community outreach expenses where you're having meetings in different locations and drop-ins. So that's worthwhile doing, and while we're doing that, we can check to see whether these other costs make sense as well.
Right. No other questions. Can I have yes.
Just Paul, special projects. You've got resource consent Kakaro playground twice. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a real thing. Yes, yeah.
It adds up all right. I just thought it would have been an error.
Yeah,
we checked that one out.
Okay, that's all right.
Just on that, maybe a date on the end of each of those lines might be clearer. It's
Okay.
like April or May. Might just clarify that a bit easier for the future.
All right. Cheers.
We're still waiting for Steve. Equitable one. Okay, can I have a mover for the report? Sure, finance report. Marissa, and second by Henry. All in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
All right, hey, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it. And hopefully we'll get that, maybe we'll get that before that workshop before the next budget, before the next financial year. Probably doesn't give us long, does it?
No. So yes, we'll have to find a gap.
Okay.
Right. Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the board report. A couple of things to note. We have an extra item in there that's kind of about the endorsement of the NZTA licensing. There we go. Practical driving test being approved. That's it's not on the agenda, so we don't have the. It can only be a discussion item at this point, but we can pass it as a draft, and then we can move forward and at a later meeting we can approve the full item. Okay. So it's really an action. The other thing is there's no public speakers in the public. Yeah, okay. The support letter for the Tākeka Village Theatre. We only had a couple of days, unfortunately. They didn't give us very long, and I think sometimes these things are probably. I'd like to leave it, say no, too late, but it was quite an important. So I'm hoping that letter, which you've all read, is okay. I did get feedback from them.
Yeah.
Say yes. So and other than that, it's all the items from our drop-in sessions which I've put on there. It's a lot of them, as you can see, about 20 different items. And I believe that most of these need to be on an action sheet, so I've put them through the board report so that we can not lose them off off our agenda and just keep rolling over them till something actually happened with them. And maybe I think we go through each one and just give an action of where we go forward with it, each one. So we'll come back to that. That's all. But anyone's got any questions on the report? Celia.
I think Exel had some engagement with Jamie McPherson about all the actions to do with transport, and so we haven't really got that very visible in our report, have we, about what maybe that could have been an attachment to the agenda to have.
Well, we summarised it in there. It has summarised what Jamie and Axel talked about. Maybe Axel, you could explain.
Okay, because I just see that the one about the Collingwood footpath is not got. Anyway, hasn't got anything much there, just to say that there was a complaint, but I thought that Jamie had said something about that. It's gone. Oh no, there he is.
Yeah, I guess I have reported what it is that we discussed, and it's reflected in in the board report. So if you have any questions about it, please ask.
I think we just need to make some actions of these where we are going forward, all of these items. I know there's a lot of them, but I don't want to lose any of them. And Clarissa, you were kind of interested in maybe looking at the action sheets.
Yeah, I had started to kind of compile a list of them, but yeah.
We could send you a
try to
template. Maybe we could send you a template and put them in the template so it's easy.
Yep.
Is that possible? Yeah. We could use the same template we use for our other action sheets and just pop them all in there. How does that sound?
Yep.
Then we can just kind of do them one at a time. So
so we're going to do that now. Or
we could run through that now because it might take a little while. I do want to come back to some of those other items, but I'm happy to run through this now really quickly. So the walking access Puponga Main Road, that's kind of yeah, we're waiting for David Thompson to organise the working party. The board, the idea of paying for a skip, I don't know if that's actually, is that something that the board has an interest in, or are we just going to support them by, encouraging them to do it? Because the skip's probably about $300 or $400, I guess, and they'll come out of our discretionary fund. So we haven't agreed to any of that. It was just an idea I think that Axel put forward. Sylvia.
Nelme would be, so the agapanthus, are they on private property or are they on the road, presumed?
On the road.
On the road. So it's really would be Nelme. I mean, we've just heard from Karen about how they helped with that morning glory. And so I know they say they can't do anything unless they're asked specifically to do it. And this would be a rodent cost. So that might be difficult, but I think it really is our contractors to actually, even if the locals try and get the agapanthus out, which is actually really difficult, it's horrible. Yeah, I think it's actually a rodent contractor's job if it's on the road reserve.
Okay.
Don't think it's realistic.
So we need to follow that through as an action to contact Roding. Oh, if you contact Martin on that. Well, it depends on what the contract says. Are they, have we given them that as part of the contract to remove agapanthus? So that's
that's what has to be followed up.
Yeah.
It's on the road there. And it's actually obstructing people walking, which it does. I think you're going to need to look at. Then it's rodent.
So
through
the chair, the first port of call perhaps would be to raise a case with Jess out here, and then that'll flow through to transportation team, and then they can assess whether or not it comes under the contract we've got with Melmac. Because road reserve, the transportation team, not parks and reserves.
And it is definitely obstructive with the walking access.
It is.
It's dangerous, actually.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, so Clarissa.
Sorry, can I just raise a point that maybe we shouldn't be saying the board would be happy to pay for skip if it hasn't been approved through prior, and I don't think it should be on the agenda like that because that's saying that we're going to do it, and now we're saying we're not going to do it.
Well, we never said we did. I think only Axel said the board did. I think it was this idea. And so it's just something for us to debate.
Yeah, it's the way it's worded.
Yeah.
It's that way.
Sure.
Suggestion through the chair. Because that leads to more like what should be in a minute. What Axel said. But yes, I think that should be amended. Row. I think we should have an amendment that the board may consider or something like that.
Right.
Just change the wording because it doesn't. Because I read that and thought, oh, we're going to pay for one.
I don't think anyone would.
Yeah, I think it should be amended.
Thank you. Right. We need to move that.
To a report.
Probably not.
Can we
Okay.
get that sort of rolling?
Yeah.
Thing of our actions
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Our drop-ins.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're drop-in sessions, they're not actually
Actually.
meetings.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Maybe we could get a separate report, perhaps. Maybe
Yeah,
that would be better
I think
than
so.
a report.
Yeah, as an attachment.
Right. Good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
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 Okay, that's a good place to start to change it to. Thank you. We make note of that.
Then you can move them all and
Yeah.
update.
Yeah.
Update.
Perfect. Commercial street speed limit. I mean, we've raised this before, been raised over and over again. Can we just keep working on NZTA to bring that down? I mean, this government isn't interested, but we should still raise it. 30k an hour through the CBD is, you know, we want to make it good. We just missed out. You know, so yeah, I think it's really important to keep that on and keep maybe another letter to NZTA and maybe through Jamie as well, with his backing and support. I don't know.
I am going to the regional transport thing tomorrow, and I can raise it with the ZTA, with the market space, and just ask there what our best strategy would be.
Good. Yeah, we definitely want it. I think there's a lot of support for that. Okay, Collingwood walking strategy. Raising Collingwood. Desire for people to walk around Collingwood. It's quite a long discussion. Axel was dealing with it with Nigel. So yeah. Does Axel, you want to continue just looking into that and working on that one?
I think he's frozen.
So- Sorry, Grant, my internet connection is a little bit unstable every now and then. I miss half a sentence, but if I understood you right, you wanted me to basically just continue liaising with Nigel and his offsiders, and I'm quite happy to do that. And yeah, I mean, I see him often enough anyway, so it's no big deal. And I think there's a lot about expectation management and how best to go about it, and you know, there's a lot of frustration that's built up, and it's just about, you know, how do you put this into the energy into the right channel, and there's certainly a willingness by staff to support this as much as they can and what they've got funds for. And if we, for example, want to use some of our special project funding towards some of those initiatives, I guess those options are available to us as well.
Thank you. Beach mobility access, hiking near the beach, raise the target there. Yeah, Tara Beach has got some options there, the boat ramp, but there's nowhere really else around the bay where you can park next to the beach. Maybe Bahara.
Happens right.
Yeah, that's right.
Collingwood.
Yeah. I mean, is there an issue though? Is that an issue? Because the mobility especially, it wouldn't seem that there's, most of them are sort of grassy places where there's no need for maybe there is.
Well, I think the issue is that there be a park which says mobility park, and that would be, I don't know if there is one at Tata Beach.
No, there isn't.
No, there's car parks there.
But it doesn't say mobility, and that's perhaps what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, Patton's Rock, it's tricky because it's all just grass.
Yeah, it's
So,
grass. At
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Tara Beach is probably the only one where you can park.
in a designated car park.
Yeah, no other designated car parks.
So what we'd be asking for is a designation for
A mobility one at
mobility at
Harbour
Tarver
Beach.
Yes, so the staff basically said very easy to implement as long as it's got council support, because it needs a council decision to designate a mobility car park. And so Robert wanted to sketch something up for Tata Beach, but none of us could think of any other locations in the bay where there is actually hard surface anywhere with beach view.
There is actually at Collingwood, beside, just before you get to the dock cottage there, because I went through all that with Reg Turner. There is actually a place there where you could have, where it's, I think I'm pretty, or maybe it's grass. Sorry, I don't know.
It's grass
They're all
too.
grass.
It's still grass.
It's all grass.
Collingwood would be by the boat ramp, down just past the caravan dump station, down in there. It's a hard surface there. Yeah, looking at sort of estuary to the valley as well.
So do we need to make a motion? Do we have an extra motion here to make that happen? Is that what they're looking for?
Not a motion, good actions.
All right, an action, of course, it's an action. So we've got to take that to council. Council have to endorse it.
Yes, so the action, through the chair, the action will require some sort of a paper to be written, taken to council for that discussion to occur.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. The Cooks Road culvert, it is very full. We all went down and had a look at it. Most of us who were there. And again, I don't know what we do about that one, who we go to about that, but I know Solly's do the work, but is it not economical? I don't know. It was pretty full.
It's been like that since forever. I mean, Chris Hill was involved up there, and it was exactly the same as it is now. I don't know that there's any. I'm just not sure about what the solutions are up there.
It was dug out, quite a major dig out, but it was probably very expensive. Because you used to be able to walk under the culvert, now you can only be able to crawl through it. That's the locals told us that.
Yeah, just saying the locals said that that's generally always consistently cleaned out and always refills. The way I read this is that the property owners downstream need to keep the creek clear of gravel. Council would waive extraction fees. So
Maybe upstream.
yeah,
Oh, downstream.
be upstream and downstream. I guess both. But to me, that's sounding like we want property owners to do the work. Is that therefore the Rivers Department to give them permission to do that?
Maybe.
No,
We want to follow that through.
they were keen to be able to keep gravel for their own laneways and things that have done past.
Yeah.
Through the chair, the management of gravel is a particularly fraught.
We know.
And yeah, and depending on the class of river, depends on what council's responsibilities are, etc. And then depending on what's happening with the gravels in the river, then it's subject to resource consent or not.
It's a zebra. It's a zebra.
Is it?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's just a small bit. It's not that. It's just
A small.
Why is these two tables?
It's zebra.
Okay. So if I might offer a suggestion through the chair, with the it'll take us quite a while to discuss what we want to do with all of these 20 actions, right? And the reason why they're on the agenda today is so that we can filter them if necessary, put them into an action list, and then we can go off and we can get some updates, because some of them will need to go through various staff of council and so on and so forth. So I think if we can, we perhaps want to just identify what happens with it next, and then we put it into the action list that Chris is going to compile, and then we can go off to different people throughout council, and at the next community board meeting, we can get updates on what's happened. Cool. Yeah.
So that the action is to go to Rivers and ask
Exactly. Just
Yeah.
ask them what our options are.
Yeah.
When we've got the
Shall I-
list, we'll kind of take a role in which interaction you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can assign
Grant, can I say something to this? So basically, the way staff explained this, I mean, as it's written down 3 or 4 years ago, they did a lot of work upstream from that location. But it's basically there's so much gravel continuously coming down the river. The only way to manage that in a meaningful way is to do something downstream from the culvert for the property owners there to keep the river clear, so that the gravel has got to go somewhere. Because if it can't go anywhere, then it starts building up. So that is why this confusing, we waive the extraction fees if somebody does something downstream from there, is in the words. But it will continue to fill up at quite some rate, and it's not economic to encourage solis to dig it out, for their own purposes. They would have to be paid because it's too far away from them.
We'll come back to that on the putting it to the rivers and see what the options are. Whauriki Beach road flooding, Rays and Pakawa, during winter. So who do we go to that? Do we go to roading? Follow that through. Pick one land over.
Personally, I'd say there's no further action.
Yeah,
It's a very costly repair, which is not going to happen.
No. Good point. All right, Ferntown Bridge, structural concern. Ferntown Bridge, meaning the main Ariri River Bridge. That's just an ongoing one, and we just have to keep that in our mind that it's going to be something that is going to continually have to be monitored by council.
Jamie has assured me that it's safe and there aren't any immediate safety concerns, as well as, of course, the speed says.
Yeah, so they'll assess that. We just and the roadside vegetation, Rays at Pakawa, there's a lot of bends and mowing has decreased in the budget, etc., etc. We're going to get next meeting. We've got a presentation by our new and old
Biosecurity officers.
biosecurity officers. I think that might come into that. Yeah. The road grading frequency, again, we need to talk to roading about that, because again they've dropped it down from 4 a year to 2 a year, I think.
No, that's not true, Grant. When I talked to them, what they told me, the budgets haven't increased or decreased, and there was never a set number of times that a road gets graded. They all get graded by on demand. So basically, there's there shouldn't be any level of service change visible, other than through the experienced grader driver having been off the job and new people having to learn the ropes. But apart from that, nothing else has changed.
Okay. All right, Wharves in Collingwood and Milnthorpe. Now, I know that Doc owned the license or lease or whatever it is for all the wharves. There was a full sense to almost set up a trust to take on the wharf leases and or licenses. And Peter Kelly was one of his mates, and it's going to be the whole region, especially the old derelict ones. I know Doc don't want to have them; they're not interested in them, but they're stuck with them. Do we need to have a meeting? Do we need to have a meeting with Doc? I mean, I don't want TDC to take that on, but do we need a meeting with Doc just to go through them and figure out how to go through these derelict wards?
We did take this up previously with Doc, and Andrew Emerson was absolutely 100% convinced that they were TDCs. So that's where it rested. He was absolutely adamant. He went to head office and came back and said that the wharves, the Cromwood Wharf, anyway, is TDC. So we've got, Doc is not going to change from that position.
Onekaka Wharf, Millport Wharf, out of Putonga, they all have the license or they all exist on paper still.
So through the chair, I think the action is to determine what our position is with respect to ownership. I know that there was a lot of to and fro with Doc and others about the wharf in Motueka, the old sphere. So the coastal assets team would be able to provide some insight. And so an action to understand from them what we believe the state of those wharves would be. It's, I meant that, right? I meant the state of the ownership rather than the physical state of the wharves. As we found in Motueka, remediating those old structures is very expensive.
Bob would be able to, they get their new legislation.
Well, they were going to transfer the leases. It's only on paper, I believe. They're responsible. So they're the ones. Who is responsible for the, danger that they could potentially be falling through. So that is important. Okay. East Takaka Hall ownership, and that, again, we need to go back to council and find out who it is, who actually owns.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So Richard Hilton of Reserves have said that they are expecting within the next more or less in about a month some illumination from the Tents Trust as to actually some more detail about the piece of land in the bay. So we just have to wait for that. Yeah,
okay.
we're just waiting for that to happen.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Paynes Ford car parking access, the overcrowding and unsafe exit. It is a bit of a problem. It's an NZTA problem, I think. Again, Tents one. We just keep an eye on that one and see where it comes back from the Tents. Yeah, State Highway 60 trees. Again, we contacted the Rob Service, who said that 8 meters is the height that you're allowed to that you have to have the trees trimmed on a state highway, and if they're over 8 meters, they kind of don't want to know about it. And these big eucalypts hang over. They're well above 8 meters. They realise there's a problem, but when one fell down and someone crashed into it and was airlifted to hospital, I think there is a problem there, and we need to kind of get to the bottom of that, because it's just another accident waiting to happen, being eucalypt.
Verification about the 8 meter height, as in the trees have to be trimmed up to 8 meters.
Yep.
And
So
that's to allow for heavy machinery and trucks to go past. Is there a distance from the road corridor they have to be trimmed back to? Not just
no,
the
if
height.
if they're hanging over the road corridor, if it's a tunnel, it's got to be 8 meters high.
Are those trees actually 8 meters high hanging over though? Some
of those are above that, yeah, for sure. But and that's the problem. They're within the legal limit. And so it's only up to the landowner who owns those trees whether or not they decide that they want to be responsible for cutting them back.
The landowner is NZTA. Most of the trees are on road reserve.
Are they?
Yes.
It's a very wide.
Okay. The action is that we need to find out exactly if they are on road reserve, and then
He knows.
since they are, then make sure maybe get back to Rob Service or NZTA to ask them about the safety aspect. I know it's within their thing, but we can only ask again.
Yeah, letter or an email to Rob.
Yep. Get her email from one. Yep. And Waitapu Splash, I think that's ongoing, and I think Axel's on top of that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Motorised vehicles on beaches, quad bikes. Again, this is an ongoing thing, and I just don't know quite. Have we got enough signs to tell people not to speed on them? And I mean,
Well,
we can't do much, can we? It's just one of those things. It's a road. It's an open road, 100k an hour.
Use the discretion of the people or the locals to talk to the people that are there as well.
Who's going to do that?
It's quite threatening.
Through the chair, I'd also say that this topic or variations of this topic come up frequently at both council and committee meetings. And there's probably, depending on your perspective, never going to be enough signs, or always going to be too many signs. So I think in terms of your drop-in centres, all we can do as a community board is acknowledge that it's an issue in the community and that it's regularly a subject of council and committee meetings. And perhaps all we can do is provide the community with the latest update of where we're at and what we're doing with signs, because I know where we put them, how visible are they, how many are there, is it this end of the beach, that end of the beach, so on and so on. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think it really comes down to whether or not council would have an appetite to look at restricting vehicles on beaches, which is a whole, that's a whole separate ballgame. I mean, it's something that is quite viable to do. I know the councils have got it in places, some places, but it's quite broad.
The compliance issue, and how do you
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can't put a notice up if we don't have
follow that,
a
otherwise.
bylaw.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but it's where you acknowledge it is an issue.
But we need to think about what a bylaw might look like and maybe research a few.
Yeah.
No, just a question. I wasn't
go there.
Yeah.
At the time that the relevant bylaws either come up for renewal or are being contemplated, then perhaps the board's got an advocacy role to play at that time through the submissions process.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out that is what happens. I think Nelson, if Nelson's got one, or trying to have one, is it Delaware Bay or somewhere like that? I'm not sure. I know Marlborough's got one, which is quite fraught for Martel's Beach, and then there's some up north.
I thought Dunedin might have one too. Anyway.
Yeah, I think
I would research she's got one, but I mean the issue is how do you get compliant staff on beaches? Can't manage dogs on beaches.
Yeah, I know.
And who's going to go up to someone on a quad bike and find them?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Well, and of course the problem is, unless it's under a act, the only way you can't find them. You've got to actually prosecute. That's costly and
Right.
and that's the thing we have to research. But I think that's something for council to consider and for you as these people.
Probably get behind that. I think it's
because they're supposed to be legal.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a number plate, crash on them, all that kind of thing. So most of them aren't if they're bikes.
Grant, can I say something about that? I think the issue of enforcement is probably not the key concern from my perspective. The current issue is that it's a free for all. People can just do it, and some people get annoyed about it. If we as a community or if council says here's a bylaw and this is what you can do, for example, Pattons Rock, people have to drive across the beach in order to get to their beaches. Can't do anything about that. But in other places, if we decide, we restrict access to the beach by motorized vehicles, then it's a matter of, there's some rules in place. And then people can't argue about, oh, but I can just do that. And then it might just be that it becomes a self-enforcing thing, where people go to the parents of the kids that run around on quad bikes and say, hey, this isn't on. And that's the way it sorts itself out. And it can only sort itself out once you put rules in place. So I wouldn't rule that out, that's a viable way of going about it.
With all sorts of dog bylaws hard enough. I think the bylaw around this would be equally as divisive.
We need to keep it, isn't it? On it, not dismiss it.
No, it needs to be there, but yeah, let's just always keep an eye on it. Thank you. Onekaka Back boat ramp. Now we've been through this one before, haven't we, Henry?
Yeah. Well,
the access is it? You probably have been down there recently. Is it gone? Completely unable to get down to the unofficial boat ramp?
It was, yeah. Sort of getting now. Yeah. I think it's probably not something the council are going to be interested in. Right. Yeah. The expense of doing a major kind of reforming there would be correct. But it's such a dynamic site that it's continually, there's this every storm that's it's washed away and then somewhere else filled up, and locals that watch straight in the channel, they tracked it onto the beach there. Yeah, it would be hard to. I think the prospect of redesigning it and doing something official would be a bit beyond.
It did come up at our meeting, and I just wonder if emergencies for getting.
Yeah, well, I think in emergencies you can get voting in. It has been done.
Not from the official ramp.
No.
Okay.
No. But there is people are sort of finding ways.
So we'll give that one back to nature.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just cross that off the list. Yeah.
There's
plenty of other beach access.
Yeah.
In other places.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting one. It's a curbside collection. A resident at the end of the curbside collection route reports neighbours beyond that point bring their rubbish and recycling to the collection point without a rubbish component. It might happen in a few places around the district. Certainly won't be the only place. So if you live beyond the collection space, you're not going to get charged in rates for it. But if you're dropping bags on collection space, yeah.
The council bags, you pay for the bags.
Yep.
So therefore you're legally allowed to put them there and then it can be collected. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is that if you want to recycle them and you don't have one at your property, you have to come here and ask for one, and it's allocated to your rates property address. So therefore you should not have a recycle bin if you don't pay for recycling. So okay. It shouldn't be happening. Legally it shouldn't really be happening.
Right.
But rubbish bags, right?
Yeah, you can go to the Rural Service Centre, you can go to Fresh Choice, and you can come here and purchase the TDC yellow or white bags.
Yes.
What was the issue then at people, the complaint? Because the complaint was about somebody taking their rubbish bag and putting it, because they were not in the collection.
With other ones.
And they brought it and put it with others. And so was the complaint there that who else was there? Was the complaint that they just ended up with a pile of rubbish bags outside their house?
Yeah, I think that partly, but also they were describing that I'm not sure if they've done a
Or was it on the rates?
differentiated
Yeah.
between, because
Rates.
they're paying a rate for collection,
That's
but getting it on their
Yeah.
passport.
Yeah.
But the cost of the collection is in the cost of the bag.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So
But
that's
it's-
what you, so
yeah.
Chris is right.
Yeah,
You pay for the bag, you're paying for the collection.
Yeah.
You don't pay for it for your rate.
yeah, that's right. I think
Isn't
that
there a
person,
rate? Isn't there a rate?
The
There
roadside,
is for recycling.
Curbside recycling.
only
Yeah,
the recycling.
Maybe that's what they
It's
were.
got that
Yeah.
back used today.
You can't stop someone putting a couple of bottles, 80 bottles of wine in your recycling. I mean, I've got a red bin. This is I've gone in the morning for something else and been, oh, someone else's bin. They must know that I don't fill my bin up.
Drank all that wine.
No, I'm talking about a red rubbish bin, but
Yeah.
you know, I have big the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got to look at the scale.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
it's pretty minor.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll move on from that
Yeah,
one.
I did raise it with David Stevenson, and I think they are re-looking at, you know, the extent of recollection. So
And look,
I have looked through.
We are having a workshop on recycling and waste, and there's going to be quite a big workshop, I think, from all the information that I've had, questions that we've got. Recycling and public information, you know, again, we can just wait for the workshop for the last one. I think that would be a good
Yeah.
idea. Thanks.
Yeah, there probably could be some more.
Yeah, we'll just remove it from the list.
Yeah. So there probably could be more information that the recycle bins, I think it is already out there, but that they remain, they're property based. They're not
Yeah.
people based, they are property based.
Yeah.
I'm about to move and my new property doesn't have recycling, so I need to leave my bins behind,
Mm.
not take them with me.
I think perhaps that's where some of it comes from, because somehow or another someone's taken the bin with them,
Right.
they're filling it up and they're taking it to inside the curbside recycling zone, and that's what you're not supposed to do.
I don't think it's
But it sounds to me like it's a problem between cities.
People out of people.
Yeah,
It's in people.
that's good comment, Eric.
It's not worth it, something like.
Okay. Look, I'm going to leave it there. That's we've got a list. We'll put that aside and look into that, and it'll come up as a separate item on our report in the future. It's really good. Thank you for that. I appreciate time for that.
If we can, sorry, going to add on, because there was the weeds at Pegwalk, which I've already
Just
dealt with. They brought up at the Pegwalk. So maybe I'll just let you know.
Joyce.
Joyce. Yes, Joyce Wiley, and it was something. I've sorted it with years, so the new vice curious.
All right. So let's just note the actions arising from the drop-in sessions and confirm that the actions to be transferred to a drop-in action register noted in the minutes. So it's the okay, and that footpath plan of the Courthouse Cafe, which is, it also came up, but it is also something that needed some action on it. What do we do? You know, who do we ask? Because people park on the footpath all the time. Is actually you following that one up?
Yeah, I have talked to Jamie and Robert about that, and so what they said is they are going to have a look whether they have some funding left over to put wooden barriers there and to physically stop parking. So that's what they are going to do.
Bollards or something. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of complaints about that. All right. The email from Lorraine Polglaze. We've all seen the photos. Do we know that? Does everyone know the piece of land we're talking about?
Yeah.
What are people's thoughts around that very sharp Phoenix palm should it be removed or should it, because it's quite, they're quite nasty. Do we just need to do an action to, is it just that one or is it the other, were there other bits too?
There's another tree.
There's
Yeah.
an egg of pencils there as well.
Clarification, is this roading reserve? Or
Yes.
this isn't reserves? Or is this?
I'm not sure. We need, okay, that's a good idea. We need to find out.
As in
who-
his budget.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
I think it is.
And is it roading or is it parks and reserves? Yeah. Okay, that's the first action. That's the action then. Is to find out who
It's roading.
it comes under. Oh, yeah, it's roading. So go to roading and follow up. I'm happy to do that. Follow up what the that everyone keen to see that change a bit, make it safer.
Make it more prettier going into
Put some natives in there. Yeah, smart with natives, sounds good. Okay. Good to do it sooner than later.
Those things can't deal with regularly into
Yeah.
very, very.
Yeah, let's do
Would
it.
they have to be dug out?
Oh, do they pop back up again?
To be dug out.
Right. I'll get back to the board with the options, how that's going to happen. Now, reduction in AA services in Tākeka, and this also slots and dovetails quite nicely into the other issue around sitting your license in Motueka, which would be even better than driving down to Greymouth, which I know some families have driven all the way to Greymouth. Cost them $1,000 just to go to Greymouth to sit the license. And fortunately, I know the person passed, so it was only a one trip of $1,000. By the time they got a motel and drove back again. So, how can we help make this a reality in Motueka? We've got an endorsement document that we can sit and talk to the community and get them to endorse the idea. Is there anything else that we need to do with that part of it? Before I get on to the next part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the action list, time to contact the Royal Women. Just needed to work out the timings plan to do that, but the approach should be on those groups can see levels as well. Yeah, but I think in one way we can board really just wants that as many signatures on the endorsement sheets as possible and have this together as one document, the NZTA.
What's the date for that?
I believe the 19th of August.
Okay. Well, we can yeah, we've got another meeting before then that we can endorse the the wording for that, so that's good. Okay, now the next part, which of course we've been given the news that we don't have a AA service in council anymore. I've done a wee bit of research on this, and it would seem that we average between 0 and we have between 0 and maybe 9 clients come in a day. Golden Bay Service Centre to have their licenses updated. A lot of Solly's drivers come in to get their endorsements put on them. It's a pretty huge amount of people, and it would seem that if you're only getting 2 sessions a month, that if it's an average of 3 a day, which I'm told is probably the more likely, 3 a day and most of the sessions are between 5 and 25 minutes. So how are students going to be able to get, there's a whole lot of questions around this, which I feel we really are going to miss out on as a community. I know there's a lot of people who don't have licenses that they can travel further than 10k or 20k from their home. We need to get hold of maybe Jono from the police, find out whether or not they're going to be happy with having a whole lot of people driving around without licenses. Well, it's a possibility. People will go, oh, it's just too hard. I haven't had time. I just can't store with you. It's illegal. It is a legal thing. So
for the chair, this is so sympathetic, but this is something you need to go to AA about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, training for our staff, etc., has become unaffordable.
Oh no, we're all aware of that. We're not. I don't think anyone's. It's just what the next part is, and that's what we're. I'm just saying what we have now, or what we've had up until now. This is what we've got, and the replacement in the future is the one that I'm concerned about. That the community keep coming back to us. So definitely nothing to do with council anymore. But as advocates of the community, I think we need to advocate to AA.
Perhaps we should seek a meeting with the new providers and see if they can give us a workshop, something with them, just see what options there are. Because, like you're saying, I don't think twice a month, whatever it be, so there's going to be a real reduction in services for Golden Bay. Kids working here and a whole range of different things. A lot of people going over there. So.
But it's only half day, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
So
But it's even, and I think if you look at the numbers we've got now, it's not going to cover it.
No. And business-wise, when you need to, there's a lot of things you cannot do online through NZTA. You have to do in person. Any registering of machinery to go on the roads has to have a number plate, has to go to here. You cannot, So there is financial impacts not only on the community but also on some of the local businesses as well. But I agree with Henry that maybe we need to approach AA and have an open relationship with them and see if we, are their dates negotiable? Like when are they going to review? Are they open to adding more days and things like that? And also, what is the booking system going to be like? Because if it is only half days too, everyone's going to turn up and there's a line. Are they going to then end at 12 when there's still 10 people waiting? We just need to start that process with the AA.
Well, I guess perhaps the DDC will communicate. People will be coming in here looking for the services, and they'll need to have the information here available to those people to tell them to go who to talk to. I guess through the AA website, probably have that information, but people are so used to it being here that it takes a while to shift that.
So do you think we have a contact for AA? Will council have a contact for AA that we can contact?
Yeah, Strongrid. Ask Strongrid.
Oh yeah. Okay, and then we can contact them and take it from there.
So it's funny, A service in Richmond will move to 29th of June, A service in the Richmond office will close at midday, June 26th, Port Hackney Road. I don't see anywhere in midday, they're only going to open half a day.
Maybe it was, maybe I misread
I think
it.
that's been misread. I don't
Okay.
look like half day to me. It looks like there does mention midday, they're going to close midday for the transition in Richmond, but it doesn't say anything about only coming over for half a day. So that sounds like you know, that they're going to be there for 2 full days.
I hope so. That
Yeah,
would be
Mark.
better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
it would be strange to come over for half a day. So
Yeah.
I couldn't read it in your big
Yeah, maybe I misread.
Yeah, I think the low is just about the transition
Right.
day, which is the 29th of June. So yeah, so they're here full days. Also, yeah, I mean, I guess they're going. They no doubt they may well review that based upon the volumes that you start seeing, because some transactions are quite quick.
Yeah.
Like you know,
Minute.
yeah, they'll be like getting a renewed car redo, but some like renewing a license is probably 10 minutes, isn't it? Because you've got to have an eye check.
Yeah.
But
Well,
maybe they-
apparently licensing tests, they're looking at bringing in, you go to your doctor and get your eyes done, and take your doctor's certificate and just.
Gosh, it's even more cost, isn't it?
Oh, that's the, yeah, I hear that's what's coming.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that you can go to a nurse to do it, but that was, but again, yeah,
Yeah.
But luckily we are able to do registrations at the post office.
Yeah.
So hopefully that the AA will just be doing the licensing part of issuing the plates or, you know, things like that, doing actual physical stuff, not just the AUCs and the,
I think talking to the post office, they're keen to downgrade what they're doing.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
because of the cost of
Yeah.
this transaction. My suggestion would be to get the contact for AA, write to them, supporting, thanking them for providing some services, or whoever is providing the services, and then whether they've considered more days if on demand.
Yeah.
Is higher than
And point out some of the items that they're going to be, and some of the restrictions. Like, you know, think of all those solid drivers. Yeah, they can in their lunchtime pop in and do the endorsement. May not take long, but because they're often getting new tickets on their license, and so, you know, it only takes a few minutes to do an endorsement, but they've only got a window of time during their lunch break. It's those little things, and you lose your number plate. What are you going to do?
This is actually only once a month because it's 2 days, subsequent days, 20, 21st,
Yeah.
17th to the 18th. It's only once a month, and there are things that people have which they can't wait for a month. My understanding is that there are some things that you can't wait for a month, so it's actually only once. So that's another thing to take up with them.
It's not too spread out days.
It's not too sick, so it's not fortnightly, because you'd say twice a month, you would think would be fortnightly, but it's not.
2 days.
It's 2 days, 6 is subsequent consecutive days, so it's only once.
So I think
2 days.
as a board, we need to just have a little meeting and work out, you know, the bullet points of what issues we have, and then put a letter together, as Leonie says, and write to AA, and see where we can go from there. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe there'll be plenty of time for everyone to get everything done. Let's hope they have calculated that in. And I'm not going to. With the rubbish bins at Pahara, going on to the next slide, the rubbish bins at Pahara, I'm going to leave that for now.
Yeah.
Before we can then get onto the workshop that we're going to have.
It's underway
Yeah.
for that particular issue.
Was there did anyone have any anything that they wanted to share from their committees, like Clarissa?
I went along to the Golden Bay Shared Recreation Facility Board meeting the other day. And I was speaking to Celia about it before. They still do not have a confirmed contract, operations contract, TBC. Something that I wanting to get cemented. They're working with, I can't remember his first name, Strange, Tony, about getting it done, but it's still not actually a signed contract document. And they've been operating for 8 years now. So that's something they're trying to work through.
Right.
But apart from that, everything else is going good.
Anyone else? Okay. I mean, you know, feel free to just, if you have a little thing like, just email it through before the chairperson's report out, and yeah. Are we gonna? Do we need to? The Golden Bay Reserves Management Projects. Are we submitting? Are we got more stuff to submit on those? Because that pretty much
no, not because we've just done the process for the classification of the reserves, but the next stage is going to be the management plans, and that will come later in the year.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and that's a bigger thing, but we've done the first. There's two things.
Yeah.
Two steps. We've done step one, and that report will come sometime later in July.
Okay.
And yeah. So we've had the hearings for those, and then the next up to.
I got the feeling a lot of people we were confused, and they talked a lot about management stuff within that. So yeah. So that's been cut. So let's just make that clear. The gambling policy review. We're going to get some feedback.
Which one we're talking about again?
Oh,
venues.
Yeah.
You have any other again?
I don't know. There's
Well,
a couple of tokens.
doing tokens.
and following the table.
Yeah,
Not really
not much
a
on the
major,
schedule.
not major tables.
No, let's just we got enough with it. I think that's pretty much. Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, I keep talking. Talking about the feedbacks. So Henry submitted on the Shape Tasman for 2945 on behalf of the community board. Henry and I did that and Axel's feedback. And also I put in a feedback for the animal board as well on behalf of the community board.
Thank you.
Just in relation to the Waka, a member of the community pointed out to me there's a Kauri tree.
Yep.
As well as the beech tree.
Kauri tree would be 30, maybe 40 years old. That's
Do you know if it was planted by there's any kind of commemoration or anything like that?
No plaque on it.
You will protect the tree? It's not, I don't know that it's protected.
No, it's only small and like 30, 40 years old max. And again, if that site does get used, the suggestion we will be asking to keep that wood milled up and turn into stuff that can be used maybe on the project. I think the group who are leading the project were pretty open-minded to that idea. So
It couldn't be cheaply moved.
No, it'd be too. It's too big to be moved. It's about 8 meters, 10 meters. Yeah, there are much more significant trees that we could kind of be The beech tree is, again, and there's a few qualifiers. It's nothing seriously. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that. And there's been a lot of talk about Anaweka Waka and the park, and I think there's no point in sort of us talking about the monument until after that's been gone, done and dusted, whether or not they're going to use that, going to be allowed to use that park or not. We can talk about it. Yeah. All right. Okay. Parks and Reserves Officer. Going to the actions update. I'm going to go and have a look at that shade house because I'm not sure that Lynn got around to checking it or not. So can you just put that down there? I'll go and have a look and see if it's been tidy and secure. She never got back to us on that. Whether she got there or not, we don't know. Never will.
Yes, Chair. I thought we decided to get rid of some of these last time.
I don't think any of these actions.
I'll just need to talk. The chair arrange a meeting between the chair of the Pegwell Residents Association and Stephen Baird. Well, that is meant to be Stephen Richards, not Stephen Baird. Okay. But also, since then, we've had an email from Jules, who's a member of the Pegwell Residents Association. Did that come to everybody? Yeah. And a long email, yeah, and saying, why are we now reconsidering the location of the playground at Pegwell? And so she's actually rung me and talked to me, and I had a conversation. And one of her concerns about relocating to Comatea Point is that she says that even though it looks okay there, it's actually just sand, and there's a stream runs around, and it's not as stable as we may think. And so she's talked to Stephen Richards and inquired from him why this change, and he had said that the community board asked for a reconsider, which I don't know was quite completely my impression of it. So I think we've got to decide what we're going to do here. We do have a question about whether or not we want to change the location or whether or not we want to stick with it, given that we spent money, do lots of 2,200 on the resource consent for that road reserve. She is the person who initiated the whole thing in the first place, and she would like it to stay on the road reserve for the reasons I've just said about she said Tomatea Point does have a lot of cars there, but she's concerned about the stability of the ground there because it's sand hills. So, Chair, I'm not sure we want to take this, but we do too.
Yeah, I was waiting for Stephen to come back to us. He came to us last meeting. He talked to us. He was going to come back to us for report of why he wanted to see it changed. It was him that kind of initiated it. Yeah, and questioned why we'd done it there and where it should actually, in his mind, should have been down there, and through arguments back about why it should have been there. So I just left an open mind to whether or not it was, we've come back to him and said, please, get back to us on with a report on it then, and that's what we're waiting for. So,
but we've since had some information. I called who just questioned the suitability.
And he obviously had a conversation with her since then too. So he'll have that information the same as us.
Peckham Residents Association.
Maybe we wait till then till we've had that. We'll get that report back. And we've got that AGM.
Next
Association. She's only one voice in this.
Yeah,
No,
like,
the Peckham Residents Association, the last AGM, they did vote.
yeah,
I was there and they did have a vote, and they, even though there was some people saying, Tom, to your point, overall, the vote was in favour of rather than democracy. So,
yeah. I'm
gotta make a
I'm personally a bit reluctant to go against the last board's recommendation and put on through. That I think it's really important just revisiting it from that perspective. But it would be a much more expensive exercise if we were to change the resource consents. Resource consents are just being paused while they do that, and I personally think we'd be better off going with the original idea, but it's always going to be a 1.5 dozen the other. There's pros and cons for both of these.
I should say that. At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, you can see that report by next. Yeah.
Stephen did say about the difference, the cost in building a Tomatea compared to that gave the difference of the officials consent. We get about the same.
Right.
So we wouldn't lose anything by moving. So there's no financial loss. That's what he brought up. That's why.
He was also quite adamant that sand build-up at Tomatea Point was an issue for vehicles accessing it to to launch their boats, and people were legally or illegally, I don't know if it's, were taking sand away to open that up on a regular basis, which is not what you need to do, right? So he was trying to also foreshadow that was to happen. That was one of the reasons why he was trying to stop people using Tomatea Point to launch boats. So it is.
It is a separate issue.
When she talked to me, her name again, Jules. When she talked to me, she said that she felt it would be very dangerous to be there because of the boats coming in, the vehicles coming down. So that was something that also.
Well, there already is a little park there at Tomatea Point.
Yeah.
Tables to put out. Council put out like a park area, so it's quite a safe area away from the boats or the trailers or whatever. It's quite a big area.
And there's already a toilet.
Yeah.
But we need to report before we make a decision.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So that, sorry, just to go on about whether or not that needs to stay on there, I don't think it does, that action. It needs to change that.
Just waiting to report.
The report from Stephen Richards. So if that could come off things, the sentence that's already there, and change it.
Thank you. Paul Egan's workshop regarding the annual plan, board budget. Be nice to get that one tied up. Henry, you may have to try and do an Axel and zoom into it. Because it'll only be Clarissa and I and Celia and Mark.
For financial
The next, probably not. It's more, yeah. We need to pin them down for that. Can we pin them down over the next? Well, you're going on Wednesday, so that's not really going to be an
Yeah,
option, is it?
not before I-
No. Okay. We'll pin them down before the next meeting on that. Because Thursday the annual plan gets, and we can't change anything.
No, the annual plan is set, so what we're really talking about is the long-term thing.
Yeah.
And then how you might influence the budget for the long term.
Yeah, that's really good. So we should maybe change that. Says annual plan, but
I think there's a conversation perhaps that you can have before if you look at the financial report that we discussed this meeting, there's still an $80,000 surplus.
Yeah.
So I think if there are some things that you want to take advantage of next financial year, to say it's already set within the annual plan, but you've got a surplus that you're carrying over, there might be some latitude for things you might want to do next year in advance of the budget. So that's that as a secondary action that you follow through with. Paul.
thank you.
Maybe, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. The next action is Stephen Richards' cost savings and analysis report. So I think maybe,
Oh, we've got it there already.
yeah, the previous action that we had for Councillor Butler can just go altogether.
Yeah.
We capture it with that one.
Yeah.
My action, yeah. You could have a flag, right? Maybe that's a discretionary fund. If you want to pay for something, for flag for without discretionary fund.
But it's not discretionary fund. I don't think that fits the policy. Might be a board expense, but I don't think it'd be discretionary fund. Because you have to apply to that fund.
Do you consent to put it out?
We just put it anywhere we are doing a drop-in session or outside the meeting room where you're having a meeting.
No, not on the book.
Talk to Susan Catherine in Richmond, like it's different.
But yeah, I don't think it's discretionary funding. It might be board expense.
Yeah.
But because it's for our meetings.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
generic sort of TBC
Must be
thing.
flex.
Bring it off you on Queen money for me.
That'll bring people in.
You're right, Henry, we do. Whether they live over the hill or they live here, or we can have one live here. Because, you know, we bring the marquee over and we've got various flags and things at show day.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right. Why reinvent it, spend more money when
Yeah,
you can just use what we've got. So if we did have one living up here,
And check, there might already be one. If we check with Jess, there might be one in the cupboard here somewhere.
right. Okay. Yeah, we need to get this workshop happening. Oh,
Point about that, action waste management.
yeah,
So, just so everyone's clear, rubbish bins, community rubbish bins on the street, etc., they're not part of waste management. They're actually separate. Waste management does everything else to do. Doesn't do. The bins are done technically by whichever, whether it's roading or reserves.
Yeah, that's
okay,
And
so
they're
do we,
separate contracts, so, but John Ridd is, you've talked to him, haven't you?
So when we have our
Yes,
workshop,
so
do we need
Jonathan's
to
gonna
give
do
them
it. It's a project that he's got a project coming about how to sort out community rubbish bins.
Make it a bit clearer.
Yeah.
A bit more clarity between reserves, road and. It's quite complicated. Should be.
So we're going to wait for that to happen, that
Probably.
project, before we have our workshop, or are we going to help feed into it so that when he does do his new management plan for it, then we've kind of fed into what's the best approach.
I think we say that we are interested in the outcome and that we would like to have some input into the process.
I mean, because really the workshop's more about a lot of other things, like the amount of tons of greenery that goes over the hill, the amount of rubbish that comes via the festival sites every year, every summer, all of those things. This is a huge issue of waste management in Golden Bay. It's not just about the bins on the streets. That's only a small part of it.
This is actually just what I'm seeing at the waste management is David Stevenson, Rubberton Parks and reserves and roads would be John Rid in different groups. We need to understand what problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah,
If there is a problem.
there's a multitude of
The waste
Issues.
management problem, amount of how much waste goes over the hill or whatever,
yeah.
in terms of general waste,
Mhm.
like with the roadside recycling, or
Yeah.
roadside waste collect, or is it about rubbish tins? I mean, we're going to have to be. I mean, how big is this
Bit more
workshop? I mean,
specific.
it will go across two different groups.
Well, it's about green. For instance, the amount of green waste that goes down here to our recycle centre, massive pile, the bigger this room or bigger, and that ends up all going over the hill.
For what? Compost.
I don't know, but why don't we have something happening here in the Bay? It's like it just seems like ridiculous that we've been sending that much and it costing us that much to send it all over the hill. So we need to look at all these
That's a David
options.
Stevenson. That's not a John Rid.
That's different.
Yeah, that was just one issue.
The thing about the rubbish bins come up in town is that there's some bins on Commercial Street that empty by one contractor, and then the street over that empty by a different contractor.
Yeah.
Hence, the roading reserves having their own contracts, own contractors.
So that would be because they go out to different
The
tenders.
tenders,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I think
It's just understanding the process.
understand. I think you need to understand the process because it looks nuts, doesn't it? Like, you've got a bin there, and over the road's another bin, and I don't do that bin, but I do
Yeah,
that bin.
that's
Exactly.
kind of
That's
coming about, yeah.
essentially what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So that would be a separate one to the Greenway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'd have to have different parts of the organisation. So I would suggest that the biggest problem is the bins and the inefficiency around the collection of those would be John Rid. But it's not waste management. It's more rubbish tin collection, rubbish tin collection.
I can follow that up.
You have. No, we can talk to John.
And the other one could just be a question. Why does it go over the hill?
Yeah.
Doesn't need a workshop, just ask a question.
I mean, also, our bins probably need an upgrade anyway, new bins. I mean, you look at, I've just been around the South Island, and all the way around the South Island, our bins are tiny compared to
Oh, ridiculous.
and those are the other, that's the other thing,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the things that you could, if you were, you could suggest and really be capital investment in actual compacting bins, particularly for summer here, would be absolutely life changing.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they can then let the contractor know when they're full and they need to be emptied, so that they only empty them when they need it rather than on a cycle. And because they're compacting, they take a huge amounts of rubbish. So I wonder whether that's something to talk to John and Ned about whether there is when the contract comes up, whether we should be looking at installing those.
Yep.
And there's a capital expense, but it saves an operation.
Yeah. I mean, we also have issues around the festival sites, festivals
Same
happening,
thing.
and they don't want to know about rubbish. They just turn around and say, "You pack it in, you pack it out." A bit like Doc and Totara Nui.
Oh, festivals. I mean, you mean not one's actually like. Okay, it's all right. The money, the resource consent.
No, they don't need a resource consent apparently, and they don't have anyone to ask to when it comes to rubbish. So they just
Why don't they take away their own rubbish?
because they don't want to pay for it. It's cost for them, and so they tell people.
They go to a
that
festival, they create rubbish, but they don't have to pay to get rid of it.
correct.
No, it's the same, totally.
And so you after summer, during the summer, after summer, you see a lot more rubbish on the sides of the roads, and we've offered all sorts of things. Why don't you put a $10 extra on your ticket and give everybody a yellow plastic rubbish bag to put their stuff in? But no, not interested.
Who's not interested?
The festival organisers.
Well, I'll be having words.
Yeah, well, I think
It's
we
not
need to.
it-
These are issues that we've had over the years that
Well,
we
I
really need to.
just think we wouldn't go to the festival. Anyway, not my festival's issue.
We've got one up at the up the top of town.
Yeah.
Next to the old bike shop there.
Really?
Yeah, they put it in a compact.
I didn't know that.
And then it can.
Well, I'm learning something today.
You can send a message when it gets to a certain height. It sends a message to the contractor that it's time for it to be empty, rather than just turning up to a half empty bin.
And look, go down the west coast and there's these great big square ones.
Yeah.
They've got a slot you can put an artwork in
Yeah.
as well. They look really good. And they're still small enough that you can't put large items in.
Yeah.
I've got photographs of them. I just thought, we need to look at this
You
stuff.
go overseas and I've got
Yeah.
Denmark and that, and I've got these amazing, all different systems, and they're all massive and they all self-compact.
We need to get up with the play, don't
We do.
Well, it's an international issue, isn't it? But we should be responsible for our own rubbish.
And the thing is, we're a tourist destination, and so we need to actually consider those options because of the fact that we're a tourist destination. We want to show that we are, we are doing our thing, and yeah. So,
Gosh, it's a big discussion on rubbish.
oh well, we haven't even, we have hardly scratched.
We put the bin out, we took the bins away.
I've hardly scratched it, but the bins are, this is a small item. In that respect.
I think we skipped a couple of actions. Mainly one in particular was
Yeah.
Axel's one. Yeah, the 1st of March. I don't know if Axel's gone up that or whether or not that still needs to remain on
Oh,
there,
that
because it's very much a work in progress, most likely not going to happen for the foreseeable future. Potentially.
Axel, are you still there?
Very much so. However, I missed half a sentence there, so I'm not quite sure.
Just
Say again.
talk the action on the 30th of March. Board member Downer will engage with senior road engineer Robert Deck regarding the safety of Motukapi State Highway corner pedestrian crossing. We're talking about that old chestnut.
Yeah. I guess an update to that. I heard that Andy High is going to leave NZTA, so that wouldn't be helpful. I've still got to get to the bottom of it, whether that's actually true. But I'll find out. He's coming back from holiday in a couple of weeks, so I'll find out then.
Leave that on there.
Yeah, let's stay on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's a bit tricky being away in Germany and chasing all these down, but I'm sure communication these days you can do it. The action in progress, board members to progress in action register. We're pretty much done.
Yeah.
That, so we can bring that up. We can bring that off.
or do you want to wait till the next full meeting when we've actually done it and put it into the minute?
Yeah, no pressure.
6 weeks.
Yeah, all right.
Well, 4 weeks.
Yeah, call me if you need help.
But is that when we take it off the action list once it's actually within
Yep.
the minute?
Sure.
As regards, the email from Lorraine Colgrave as well.
Yeah, I think we should reply to her, say that we're looking at the options for it, and thank you for bringing it into our attention, and that Phoenix Palms are definitely something to consider as a dangerous
Unwanted.
griffin.
Yeah. And I've had a look, and it is on road reserve.
Yeah. And we'll get onto road reserve on that one. We'll sort of come in that as well.
So that's get onto them, but it's going to be problematic because they don't spend any money.
No,
But we'll just have to make the start.
yeah. There's no money in it. You know, what can we do? There's no
Oh,
option.
could we use do it as a
As a special project? Yeah.
project? Maybe we can help fund it.
We've offered a tree to somebody. Can't take it out for free.
You know, we could upgrade that beautifully with a nice monument of some sort.
Somebody with a digger in a truck.
She's moving the house.
Okay. I said it'll be out by 3 o'clock and
The river we dig it the higher down.
now is that everything? Then I will move my report. There's no other nothing else. Can I have a second that?
Yeah.
All in favour?
Right.
Aye.
And that comes to the end of our meeting today. Thank you, Leonie, again for coming over and spending this time listening to us waffle on about all our little issues over in Golden Bay. Gives you a bit of an idea of what's going on over here, I suppose. Yeah, local issues.
Important issue.
Oh, absolutely. No, all of them are important. Just as a matter of interest, I went to the Community Board Executive Committee meeting up in Wellington a few weeks ago, and they've got all community boards around New Zealand have issues, big issues, all different, but nonetheless, some are really well received, really well supported by their councils, and others are completely ignored by their councils. And I was proud that I was able to say, well, we get really good support from our council, and you know, we're really lucky to have that, because I know there's a lot that don't. So, you know, thank you to staff over in Richmond for the openness and you know, just having the open door policy as well. Again, doesn't happen very many places at all. So, you know, it's really, really valuable to us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, would you like to?
Kia hiki e te kōrero, kia wātia ki mama te manawa o te tangata. Ki u ki te ara mo tātou e ora nei, ka ronga, ki ronga, ia tina, huiere, tai ki. Let the discussions be lifted, clear away, and ease the hearts of people. Keep focus on the path of life, pieces uphill, say yes, fight together, and so it is.
Thank you. Safe travels, Henry.
Go back to bed.
Oh, I'm not sure it's worth it. It's fully light outside, so
You're on the longest day, we're on the shortest day.
Yeah.
yeah, it got light at 4 o'clock, so
Oh my God. Do we not have daylight saving?
there is daylight.